Welcome to the Blue Dot, Northern Kentucky's premier political podcast, brought to you by the Kenton County Democratic Executive Committee. Welcome to the Blue Dot podcast, where we elevate the voices of leaders in our community. And we're so very lucky and excited that we have a ton of patriots stepping up to run for office all across the state, and we're here to give them a platform.
That's right, Natalie. As we've said before, the road to 2026 starts now, and people are fired up, to say the least. For today's candidate interview, we welcome Stella Pollard, who is running for Kentucky State Senate in District 20.
Yes, and Stella is a tech leader, a lifelong educator, and community advocate committed to better schools, stronger infrastructure, and fair opportunities for all Kentuckians. She's full of enthusiasm, strong ideas, and a positive outlook for the 20th District of Kentucky. Stella, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you all so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Hey, Stella, for listeners who may not know you yet, can you share a bit more about your background and what inspired you to run for the Kentucky Senate?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, again, thank you all so much for the opportunity to be on your podcast. I am a fan as well, so I might fangirl out sometimes. Just bear with me if I do. I have lived in Franklin County for going on 12 years now, and it has really become just a home to me. Originally, I'm from southeastern Kentucky. My husband and I moved up here in 2014, and we knew that we wanted to raise our daughter in a smaller community and in rural Kentucky, and we moved to really the county line of Owen County and Franklin County, and that's where we brought her home to. Of course, in 2020, whenever the pandemic hit, we didn't have good internet out there, so we had to sell that house. We lived in an apartment for 5 years, and then we were finally able to afford a house. But that's becoming something that's not very common nowadays for millennials like myself and people that are younger. So that's something that I've lived through, and it really sucked not to have a house and to have to sell my own home because of a lack of infrastructure. So those right there are two of the main reasons why I wanted to run. And throughout this conversation, we'll uncover more. I won't give away all of my answers just yet, but it's such an honor to be able to live in a district that covers so much of Kentucky and such an important part of Kentucky. When you look at all of the Senate districts, I don't want to say that I have the best one, but I do.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. It covers several counties. So can you tell us who you'll be representing when you're elected? Because you come all the way up here to Northern Kentucky. And then it goes down, like you said, to your neck of the woods there.
Yes. So it starts here in Franklin County, and that's, for people that don't know, that's Frankfort. So I will not miss a committee meeting. Let that be known. I live a mile away from the Capitol. I will be there and I will get the job done. So we'll start with Franklin County, then it goes over to Owen County, and then it goes to Carroll and Gallatin counties, and then the southern parts of Boone and Kenton.
That's a big area.
I
lot
love
of
it.
people to
Really
represent.
No, I love it too.
It's great.
And every single person that I've met, I'm like, you know what? You're my new favorite person.
Awesome.
Don't tell my
Well, that
husband.
leads right into my next question and statement, is that you are so full of positive energy, and you also understand the importance of grassroots organizing. Can you tell us what your strategy is for engaging voters who feel disconnected from politics?
And that's so important because right now everybody does feel so disconnected with our government, and rightfully so, with everything that's been going on, not only here in the state legislature, but also in our federal government. No one feels like they have a voice or a seat at the table. In 2022, when Jay Williams, who I'm running against, he ran, he said that we needed to have a seat at the table for our district. And you know what happened? After he got elected, he made 0 posts on his social media account from 2022 when he won until I announced my candidacy, and he then had to announce that he had to have a fundraiser. So we have to be able to bring people to the table. And that doesn't mean people that look, think, and act like us. It needs to be everybody. It needs to be our small community people, our business owners. It needs to be our families. It has to be people that are in the trenches. It needs to be our youth, our Kentucky Young Democrats. Everybody deserves a seat at the table, and nobody's been heard. And I feel like I have a big enough voice that I can use this big mouth of mine to bring people to the table and make a difference.
Yeah, it's funny when you said that because you don't have a primary opponent. And I tried to find out more about Jay Williams and I couldn't find out much, which is interesting, right? He has no policy information or nothing on his website indicating what he's for. And you, on the other hand, very clear about what you plan to do to represent Kentucky. And you have a blog out there, you have TikTok videos, you have full website with all of the things that you think are important. So can you share with our listeners what those core issues are that are driving your campaign?
Absolutely. So the foundation of the campaign came from talking to people. I've known for years that I wanted to run for office. My 18th birthday, I signed myself out of high school. I drove all the way from Buckhorn to the Perry County Clerk. And I walked in, I said, I need that registration card. And he said, what party are you? And I was like, Haven King, you already know. Like, give me that card. So to be able to be finally running is truly a dream come true. So the foundation of my campaign, there's 4 main things that I keep hearing from the people across this great district and what they want. And they're not things that are very abstract. So it starts with a strong education system because we know that strong schools are a foundation for success within any school or within any county. And you can't have a good workforce and you can't have opportunities if you don't have strong schools. So I start with education. And when I say education, you have to look at it from a holistic point of view. We have to talk about preschool for all because that's what our younger generations that are raising families need. It's not only great for the workforce, but it's also great for all students because it gives them life skills at their most vulnerable spot of life for learning. So you have to look at it holistically. You have to find a way to have our teachers be supported. And you can't do that with just bare bone budgets like what we've been used to. In Kentucky Education Technology Systems, which is called KETS, which is something that my opponent likes to brag about that he knows so much about. But recently at an Information Technology Committee meeting that he said this in, he said that, the Kentucky water infrastructure systems haven't been brought up in years, in like 12 years. And EdTech in Kentucky has been the same way. So education, then from there, economy. We have to find a way to bring more jobs to Kentucky. And I know that in northern Kentucky, we've had a lot of jobs and a lot of growth up there. But honestly, when I talk to people, it's not been the type of growth that the community wanted. They didn't want Amazon to come in and start just taking over everything and giving their people just bare bone wages. We have to find jobs that are sustainable, but that can meet the workforce that we have here. And then from there, it's infrastructure and healthcare. Infrastructure is so important, and we know that in Boone and Kenton counties, like I said, there's been a lot of growth, and that growth has completely outgrown the infrastructures that was in the place of those. And who's going to have to pay for that? Well, Jay Williams is really, really pushing in our committee meetings, and this is partly why he's not being very transparent. He really wants a data center. And if you think about a data center, and if it comes to one of our larger communities, that's going to drive the cost up of our electrical grid, and it's also going to pollute our environment and use a lot of our water resources. And we can't have that if our infrastructure is not there. And then, of course, healthcare. I mean, you have to be able to take care of one another if they're sick, if they need something. And that goes for women, children, or elderly. Everybody deserves to have access to health care. The big ugly bill that came down the pipeline, we all know all of the mess that rural Kentucky and smaller communities have had to deal with as a result.
Yeah, and I like how you kicked it off talking about education because you are an educator, right? Are you a lifelong educator?
Yes, I've been an educator I started as an instructional aide and a substitute teacher back in 2012, and that was when I was 23 years old, I believe. And I just have always loved that. When I was getting my bachelor's degree, I didn't think that I wanted to be an educator. So I went into the business management route.
Okay.
I remember getting my degree and not being able to find a job. And I marched my sassy self back into the Hazard Community and Technical College. And there was a man there. He's a former state representative. His name was Cluster Howard. And Cluster said, go back and be a teacher like what everybody knows that you need to be. And
Aw,
I did, and it changed my life.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You just mentioned healthcare and infrastructure kind of together as your core issues. I know they're separate in many ways, but also we've discussed with some candidates, and I've seen some articles around viewing healthcare as infrastructure, and then it's like it is an absolute necessity instead of like putting it as some kind of luxury or something that you may be able to do without at least at certain points in your life, like, hey, in your late teens, early 20s, I'm healthy, what do I need healthcare for? But catastrophic accident can happen. And I think that healthcare as infrastructure is really an interesting approach. I wonder if you have any views on that, how you would see healthcare as being able to become like something that can universally be for everybody, and we don't have this constant battle over who gets it and who doesn't, who can afford it and who can't.
I agree. When you look out into society, there shouldn't be a lot of things that, everybody universally agrees upon, but medical experiences and healthcare, they should be something that we all should be willing to come to the table and find a solution for. And in Kentucky, we have so many resources, but we haven't tapped into those. I think one of the things that we can do to help our smaller communities have more access to medical experiences and healthcare would be to start investing into our high school students and
Mm.
helping putting them onto a career path for these, I'm going to say, professional careers that we
Yep.
still need. And
They are
because,
Mhm.
professional. They're still professional degrees. I don't care what the administration calls them.
yes, and we have to help them find a way to be successful with those programs. Send them off into our Kentucky college systems and bring them back home. Help
Mhm.
find ways to pay for them to go off, and then they're going to come back because this is their home and they've already got their family there. But we have to be able to help them find the way, and then they'll have pride within their communities. There's so many other ways that we can pay for just access to healthcare in Kentucky, and one of those ways would be to legalize marijuana. I mean, we've legalized it for healthcare, but legalize it for recreational experiences too, because we are sleeping on so much money and revenue every single year by not even discussing this
Mhm.
opportunity. And Kentucky is such a great ground to grow that on.
Mm. That's a good point. Could be definitely a great revenue generator that could provide more funding for education and healthcare, other things that we need to support that infrastructure we're talking about. That's a good point. Politics is so polarizing. I'm not sure if you noticed. Once you're elected, are there a few key issues that you feel you can work across the aisle with Republicans on in the state Senate?
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of the Republican legislatures. And I mean, whenever it comes down to it, there's so many of them over there. They want the same things as we do. And it's just for Kentucky to have a brighter future. They may have different routes and different avenues to get to
Hmm.
um, that table, but you have to be willing to talk to them. For so long in the Democratic Party, we said, well, let's focus on our Democrats because that's how Obama went. He was so good at it. And we've all tried to force ourselves to be Obamas, but we can't be Obamas, unfortunately. So being able to talk with the people and being able to say, you know what, that's a really bogus idea, but keep talking to me. And then you have to come to the table, you have to meet in the middle, and you have to be able to hear what they're saying, even when it's crazy. But
Mm.
then you also have to be able to talk to them and share your points in a way that they're going to respect. And I'm really good at building respect with people because, like I said at the beginning, people just want to be heard. Nobody likes going and talking about stuff and then feeling like it's going on deaf ears. And I feel like a lot of the places or a lot of the people down at the Capitol right now probably feel like that with the Democratic Party. From the Republican side, they're like, well, why would I even try? They're not going to listen. And I'm going to be somebody that will at least listen. I don't want to say that I'm in the middle because I'm not, but I will at least listen and I will look for solutions with them.
During our deep canvassing listening sessions, when we're knocking on doors, that's what we're hearing a lot from people is we just want to be heard. And people are talking, and I'm sure you're seeing this as you're knocking on doors too. People, they want to talk. They're like, please, like, and they're just really happy to see someone who's going to listen. So I think that's going to go a really far way. And if everybody had that perspective that like, let's just sit down and be civil. And I think that the reason why we haven't is because there's a person at the top, aka Trump, who is making things so toxic. And it's just like a leader of your business or anywhere else. If you have a really good leader that's strong and is like pulling for cohesion, you're going to see that. And we just haven't had that. So we need leaders like you who are stepping up and saying, let's talk to each other and let's bring dignity and decorum back to not only our state legislature, but just our country in general. Yeah. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there, but I think what you said really hits home.
Preach it. You're right.
Well, I do believe, we're seeing a lot of activity, a lot of momentum for the Democratic Party. I mean, we are seeing at the federal level now, all of a sudden some cracks, in the MAGA, base and in the MAGA senators and representatives and some bipartisan things happening. I just read one about extending the ACA, tax credits, and Trump has come out now and said that he's behind it because he can see the handwriting on the wall. He's pretty good that from a political standpoint, he has pretty good intuition. So I guess my point is that maybe we're starting to get down a path where people will be able to start talking to each other and Republicans won't feel, I'll call it arrogance, but at least so confident in their stance and in their power that they won't have to listen to others and they will have to start to open themselves up to the ideas of others and work with us. Hopefully that's where we're shifting a little bit.
I'm starting to feel it whenever I'm out speaking with our voters because I never look at Vote Builder. And I know that's horrible of me, but it's too early in the campaign to focus on that. I'm talking to everybody. And the thing that I found out is that I can talk to somebody for 5 to 10 minutes before I can get them to ask me, wait, what party do you believe or do you belong to?
That's interesting.
There's an elected official in Boone County. He's a pretty high up elected official. And I met him at the Old Fashioned Day in Walton a couple of months ago. And I walked up and I introduced myself to him and told him who I was running against. And he's like, oh, good. I don't like him. I was like, oh, good. And then we talked. We talked for like 5 minutes. And then about 5 minutes into it, he's like, I forgot. What party do you belong to? And I told him. And he said, I've got to go. And I said, sir, you had me for 5 minutes. You just wait. You give me a few more months. You give me a few more months. I'm going to have them all trusting me because with an accent like this, I've lived in central Kentucky for 12 years. I've not changed who I am, and I'm not going to change who I am. I'm very authentic, and I think that people will see that more and more as the campaign goes because all that I want to do is help Kentucky. I don't have a different motive. I don't have any private companies that are paying my pocket. I don't have an internet service provider company in Boone County that I'm trying to get Kentucky Wired or whoever's attention to look at me. I'm just a normal person. I'm an educator and I'm going to win.
You absolutely, yes. And you are a friend of the show. We know you, but I'd like to do a little lightning round so that our guests can maybe get to know, or our listeners can get to know you a little better. If you're up for that, maybe 5 quick rapid fire questions.
Absolutely. Fire them away.
Okay. All right. This one's kind of easy. What drink do you start your day off with?
A Diet Coke. At least one. Maybe 2.
I am not a coffee drinker. Wow. I'm a Diet Coke morning drinker too, and we're few and far between. So
I'm always amused when people are like, "What?" Like somebody looked at me and said, that would wreck my stomach in the morning. I'm like, "This is my 4th Coke. What are you talking about?"
It's bad. All righty. If you could instantly master any skill, what would it be?
I think I would have to say being a master chef. I'm not very great at cooking. I have, my Southern Appalachian dishes that I can do, but I would love to be one of these people who can just look at ingredients and be like, I know what to do with all of it.
I can cook, but I can't bake. I burn everything if I try to bake, like any kind of baked good. But yeah. Now, this one I think is a hard question because when people ask me this, I can't answer it. Let's see if you can. Who is your favorite musician?
Okay, so I grew up in a very, I'm going to call it old school house. My favorite musician was George Jones.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yes, he was
That's
my
the OG,
favorite.
baby.
I know. I got the opportunity to go to 13 of his concerts before he passed away.
You
Wow.
are a fan.
I was a mega fan.
Super fan. Yeah.
His t-shirt guys knew me by name. His main t-shirt man was named Kirk. I remember.
That's awesome. That's a great fun fact. All right. One thing on your bucket list that you're determined to cross off.
Winning the selection.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm going to.
Boom.
I know. I'm like, that's it. I'm done. That's it, Brian. Yep.
No.
Yeah. Shut her down.
And the Republican headquarters had their ribbon cutting a couple of Saturdays ago. Well, about a week ago now. And I was just out there in front being their door greeter the whole time, welcoming everybody. And you know what they did? You know what's in front of their building now? Jay Williams signs. I'm such a menace. I'm going to win.
That's awesome.
Good for you.
All right. Your last question now that we're getting into the holiday season. If you're hanging holiday lights, are they bold and colorful or do you do classic white?
Bold and colorful.
You are my kind of person. That's fantastic.
Somehow I knew that was going to be the answer to that one.
We do a lot of loud colors in our house.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. I don't know where the classic white came from, but I was always like, it's so subdued.
Yeah, it's boring.
Yeah, boring. Okay, that's another good word for it.
I
No
do
offense to anybody that likes plain white lights. They are classic.
I still have the big C9 colored lights. Like my house looks like a
yeah.
Snoopy house and it's ridiculous and I love it and I don't care. And that's just the way it has to be.
I love that.
Snoopy all the way, baby.
You bet. You bet. Awesome.
Well, Stella, thanks so much for joining us. Before we wrap up, where can listeners learn more about your campaign and get involved?
Absolutely. So on social medias, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. You can use hashtag Stella4KY, and that's the number 4. So Stella4KY. You can also check out my website at stella4ky.com or stellarpollard.com.
All right. Well, we sure appreciate you joining us today and wish you the best of luck. And thank you for sharing your vision for Kentucky.
Thank you all for having me.
Absolutely. And we'll have you back later if you'd like to come on anytime.
Yes. When I win, I'm going to be here all the time, and you all can have me anytime you want.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Thanks so much, Stella.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Bye-bye. And that's it for this candidate interview with Stella Pollard. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming podcasts or exclusive material. And don't forget, you can join the conversation on our Facebook and Instagram pages or at blue.podcast.com. And if you like what you're listening to, please consider donating to help fund it, which you can do by clicking on the donate link at blue.podcast.com. Until next time, stay curious, keep the facts in focus, and never stop fighting for what matters. Peace out, everybody.